So now we're going to talk about your role in actually collecting the surveys from youth. So you should administer the pre-programmed survey during the first session of the program. The survey should take about 30 minutes to complete, but you should allow a full hour to provide time for preparation and then collection of surveys at the end. A detailed description of the process, including a script, is included in the staff manual. So I will describe the process now, but you should refer to the staff manual on the day that you actually administer the survey. In order to participate in the study, children must sign youth assent forms. So on the day of the survey, you will distribute 2 youth assent forms to each eligible child. If they decide to participate in the study, they will keep one form for their records and return the other to you. And so remember, to be eligible at that point, a child's parent or guardian must have already signed the parental consent form and returned it to you. So you will distribute these youth assent forms to each child, and then you will read the youth assent form aloud. Give children a chance to ask questions about the study. You should give simple, honest answers and be as clear as possible. Be careful not to pressure the child to participate in the study. Don't emphasize at all the incentives. If children ask questions that you don't know how to answer, you should offer to contact someone from the University of Michigan to find out the answer. You can also direct them to the contact information on the last page of the youth assent form and invite them to ask their questions directly. You will then collect the signed youth assent forms and place them in the envelopes labeled signed youth assent forms. That will be envelopes C and D. Check the last page of the youth assent forms to be sure that all of them include signatures, dates, and that names are printed legibly. Instruct youth participants to keep one copy, so just like the parents, they should keep one copy of the youth assent form for their own reference in the future. Signed youth assent forms for badges for baseball should be placed in envelope C, and signed youth assent forms for the comparison group should be placed in envelope D. In the space provided on the envelope label, you should write the total number of signed youth assent forms in the envelope. So if there's 20 signed forms in the badges for baseball envelope, then just write 20 in the blank on the front of that envelope. And then both of these envelopes, envelope C and D, will be included in the box that you mail back to University of Michigan. Which you should have also found that in your box. There was also a bundle of pencils and a box that is prepaid and pre-addressed to University of Michigan. So everything that you send back to us will go in that box. You should also collect blank youth assent forms from children who don't wish to participate. Children who don't wish to participate should return both copies of the form, and you can just dispose of these blank forms. Those children should then join the other non-participating children in the alternative activity that you have arranged. And alternative activities are available to you in that packet that you just found in your box, and they're also available on the portal. So it's a mix of Sudoku puzzles and some word searches that it's something for kids to do, but it's not too fun that they should want to do that instead of taking the survey. So feel free to make copies of those, give kids a portion of the packet. They probably don't need the whole packet, but it may be good to make some extra copies in case you need them. And those could also be used if some young people finish early and have extra time, then they could do those extra activities. They're also welcome to do other schoolwork they may have or read a book or whatever they want to do.
The key thing here is if someone says, no, I don't want to do it, what else is there for me to do? That we not offer them something that's really fun. You know, we say, well, you'll have to stay in the room with everybody else, but you'll have some other puzzles to work on or something like that. But you'll have to stay here with us. Because if they have a chance to go and play basketball or go play, shoot pool or play ping pong, we don't want the alternative activity to look too appealing so that nobody wants to do the study.
Okay, so for actual survey collection then, now we're just talking about the youth who have, their parent or guardian has signed a parental consent form. They have signed a youth assent form. You will distribute a survey envelope to each one of those children. And The survey envelopes for participants in the Badges for Baseball group, as you saw, have a BB on the envelope, and survey envelopes for participants in the comparison program will be in unlabeled envelopes. You'll also eventually see that the Badges for Baseball surveys are blue and the comparison program surveys are white. You'll then follow the script provided in the staff manual and direct participants to write their name and date on the top page of the survey. You will then ask them to, this is all in the script you'll see in your staff manual, but they will write their name and date on that top page of the survey, and then they will tear off that, we're calling it the survey cover sheet. So they'll tear off that survey cover sheet and turn them back into you. And you should then place those signed survey cover sheets in envelopes E or F. So envelope E will be for Badges for Baseball, and F is for the comparison program.
A key thing here is that they print their name legibly on both the consent form and this form. That's how we'll know that the identified survey number is associated with their name. So if we can get their name clearly, we'll know which survey is theirs.
Right. So you'll include both of those envelopes in the box to be mailed back to University of Michigan. And then using the script provided, introduce the survey. So you're going to be telling participants that it's not a test, there are no right or wrong answers, and they should be honest and truthful in their responses. Remind participants that their answers will be private and that no one at the program at your site will see them. You should also offer to read the survey aloud for those who want this option. You may want to say something like, I will be reading the survey aloud over in this section of the room. Anybody who wants to can join me over here. And then let them choose to join you if they'd like. Then allow at least 30 minutes for participants to complete the survey. Participants who finish early should sit quietly until others finish. And again, you might want to provide them with a copy of the alternative activity that we'll provide. And you should then make accommodations for participants who need more time. While participants work on the pre-programmed survey, you should be available to respond to their questions. So if children ask about the meaning of questions, find out if specific words or phrases need a definition, and then if you can, provide a brief definition of those words or phrases. Avoid giving examples or lengthy explanations that might influence the children's answers. Don't tell children how to answer the question, but do encourage them to choose the best answer. For example, if a child wants to know how to define what their neighborhood is, you could tell the child, do the best you can, or neighborhood means whatever it means to you. Tell participants that it is okay to skip a question if they don't know how to answer it, or if they don't want to answer it. Be very careful not to look at participants' responses. The survey is confidential, and it's important that we respect participants' right to privacy. You might want to answer questions by pointing to a copy of the survey rather than looking at the child's survey. So you could carry around a blank copy and point to that instead of looking at theirs. There's a small risk that participants may become upset by the survey. You should be alert for participants who may be upset and respond appropriately. So what if a participant becomes upset during the survey? There's a very small risk that they may, as they're reading through and answering these questions. So if you believe that a participant may be upset by any of the survey questions, arrange to have a private conversation where no one else can hear either of you. Ask the youth if they are upset about any of the questions. You should focus on listening to them and trying to understand why they might be upset and trying to judge the depth of their reaction. Don't try to minimize their concerns or try to help them resolve their negative emotions. If you suspect that they were upset by any of the questions, provide a copy of the list of helping resources and encourage the youth to call the resources if they feel a need. The list is available in the staff manual and it's available on the Ripken Foundation online portal. Depending on your agency's policies, you may also want to alert a parent or guardian about the participants' reactions to the survey. So when participants have finished the pre-programmed survey, after 30 minutes, you should ask if anyone needs more time and make accommodations so that they can have more time to finish the survey if they need it. When the majority of participants are finished, Direct them to place completed surveys in the envelopes, seal the envelopes, and clearly print their names on the outside of the envelope. So this is very important. So when they are done, they should put the survey inside the envelope that they received it in, and then seal the envelope, and then print their name on the outside of the envelope. So by the time you actually take their survey from them, it is sealed in an envelope. So you will never see the actual responses on the survey. You will only see the sealed envelope with their name on the outside. And so we're doing this to ensure that their answers remain private and confidential. The envelopes will not be opened until they get back to University of Michigan. So no one at your location will see any of the students' responses. So you should then collect sealed envelopes, bundle them together with a rubber band, and then on top, place a survey inventory form. So those were those 2 forms that were paper clipped together in your box. So place that on top. For the Badges for Baseball group, you'll see it's labeled Badges for Baseball. The comparison group is labeled Comparison Group. So place that form on top of the bundle of envelopes, and you'll count the number of completed surveys and just write that number on the form. So if you're giving 20 surveys back to us, then you should write 20 on that form. These bundles of envelopes, of sealed envelopes, will be placed in the box that's mailed back to University of Michigan. And you should also place any unused pre-programmed surveys in the box. So you don't need to include those in the bundle, but just put them back in the box. We may be able to reuse them, is our hope. Scheduling alternate times. There may be children who are not able to complete the survey on the first day of the program, but who do want to participate. All participants must join the study by the 3rd program session. After the 3rd session, no new participants may join the study. So situations in which a child joins the study after the first day might include some of the following. So a child might obtain parental consent after the 1st program session, or a child might initially decide that they don't want to participate, so they don't sign the youth assent form, but then later they change their mind and decide they actually do want to participate. You might have a child who's absent on the 1st program day, but you had their parental consent and they just missed the 1st day. Or you might have a child who joins the program after the 1st week and you still are able to get parental consent and the child does want to participate. So in any of those situations, you might have a child who wants to take the survey but just wasn't there on the 1st day. So for those children, you will administer the pre-programmed survey using the exact same procedures as before. So everything we just talked about. You'll read them the youth assent, collect their youth assent forms, and then administer the survey. You should then collect all completed materials and include them with the previously completed materials. So place the signed parental consent forms in envelope A or B, the signed youth assent forms in envelope C or D, depending on, if you're Badges for Baseball or the comparison group, and the completed cover sheets in E or F. And then just include the sealed envelope with their pre-programmed survey in the bundle with the other completed surveys. And then you will just need to update the numbers on the labels of each of the envelopes and the survey inventory form. So if you had 20 kids take it the first day and then you have 2 kids take it then a week later, then you'll include those two forms in each envelope, include their 2 surveys, and then update each of the labels to say 22, because now you're sending us 22 surveys and 22 consent forms, 22 assent forms, and 22 cover sheets. Okay, so then mailing all these materials are going to be mailed back to U of M. You'll be placing the signed parental consent forms, so envelope A and B, there's actually an error on this slide. So what is in your staff manual is correct. So this says envelope A for signed parental consent forms. It's actually envelope A and B will be your signed parental consent forms. Your signed youth assent forms are envelope C and D. And your completed survey sheets are envelopes E and F. So all of the envelopes with letters on them, you'll be sending back to us. And then you'll also be sending back the completed pre-programmed surveys in their sealed envelopes, so those bundles. So 2 bundles of surveys. And then any blank pre-program surveys in there to come back to us. So you'll just put all of those things in the box to probably around the 3rd week of the program once everybody has taken the survey, and mail that back to us. And the box has an address on it. It has stamps on it. You may need to take it to the post office because of weight, but other than that, you shouldn't need to do anything.
Yeah, you will have to bring it to the post office. You can't just drop it in the box. This is one of the new security things that they do at the Postal Service. They don't want any big boxes not coming directly to the desk at the post office.
So the end of program survey will be at the end of the program. Near the end of the program, we will send you a second box, and that box will contain the surveys, another staff manual that has instructions for administering that survey, and participant evaluation forms, which I'll talk about in a minute. During the last session of the program, you'll administer the end of program survey. The procedure will be the same as the procedure for administering the pre-program survey, except for 2 major differences. So first of all, you already have participants' consent, so you will not need to repeat that process. Instead of reading the youth assent form, when you administer the end of program survey, you will begin by passing out envelopes and asking participants to write their names on the survey cover sheets. So you'll skip right to that part of the survey administration process. You don't need to get them to sign youth assent forms. Also, this time, the University of Michigan will provide envelopes that contain the end of program survey and are labeled with the names of each participant who completed the pre-program survey. So it's really important that you give each participant the envelope labeled with his or her name. Like the pre-program survey, the end of program survey should take about 30 minutes, and you should at least allow 1 hour to provide time for administrative tasks. Follow the same procedure as the pre-program survey, and when all participants have completed the survey, ask them to place the survey back in the envelope and seal it. Collect the sealed envelopes, place a rubber band around them, write the total number on the survey inventory form, and then mail the bundle back to University of Michigan in the box that we'll send later. The University of Michigan will be providing gift cards as incentives to youth who complete the surveys. There's a $10 gift card incentive for completing the pre-program survey. There's a $10 gift card incentive for completing the end of program survey. And each youth who completes the follow-up survey, which is one that you will not really have to worry about, University of Michigan research team is going to handle that survey. But youth who take that survey will receive a $25 gift card. Youth who complete all 3 surveys will be eligible to win one of 2 $100 gift cards. We would like to mail the gift cards for the pre-program and the end of program surveys to you all, to the program staff, and ask you to distribute those cards to the kids. University of Michigan staff will then conduct the follow-up surveys and mail those gift cards to participants' homes. Any questions about participant incentives? Okay.
I believe these will be Visa cards with the kids' names on them. So they'll be able to spend them pretty much anywhere you can use a Visa card.
I would just like to note, I know the University of Michigan is going to, hammer the phones and mail and, reach out to the kids directly with the follow-up surveys, see if, probably taking it over the phone would be faster. But just, I know you guys are incredibly supportive and have been incredibly helpful so far. So we might reach out to you guys again. If we need help reaching any of the kids who might have moved around, you might know that they just went to a different club, different unit in the community or something like that. So just bear that in mind. Thanks, guys.